Hey, everybody, welcome back to Android App Addicts, episode 541. This is the show where we talk about Android apps, Android hardware, and whatever else happens to cross our mind. My name is Mark. That guy over there, he's Door. And this is your show, brought to you by our Patreon supporter extraordinaire, Stephen D., or as you may know him better, the Fuzzy Wizard. Thanks for stepping up, my friend. Door, how are things going for you?
Fuzzy Wizard puts stuff in my head that I don't know if I can get rid of fast enough. It's a little scary. I'm okay is what I'll say. Normal week. No training last week of the 4-hour training for like a year. So I had that going for me, which is nice. You know?
So that mean you have to go twice this week?
No, but the training was shifted to where now it's never going to be on Thursday. It's still going to be on Friday, 4 hours for the next 11 months and 2 weeks. And yes, I'm counting.
So we had one of those sad moments today at work. We had to say goodbye to a coworker. One of the problems with hiring really excellent people is that every time somebody leaves, you lose a really excellent person. I hate that.
I know, but I'm a firm believer. A workplace is not like a village. In a workplace, I want everybody to escape. I want everybody to go get paid more money, move on, move forward, use the current position as like a stepping stone and, advance kind of thing. And I love it when I see people at work leave. I hate when I see new employees come in the new floor because then I gotta, let me walk up to them, fix my pants, and let me tell them how it is around here. Yeah, because I'm the guy that tells them, never do this, never do that, never do this. Watch out for that person. Watch out for this person. Don't say yes to this person. If you need anything, don't hesitate. You can ask me or any of these like 4 people, but it's going to take you 3 years alone just to learn the acronyms. So get used to it.
We always do the buddy system. When a new person comes in, they're assigned a buddy for the first 90 days.
I could see that making people retire much quicker at my job. I'm going to have to suggest that.
So how are things in your world? You said it was raining.
It was pouring down raining on the way home. My not my mother-in-law, my father-in-law's wife, new wife, is in the hospital right now. She's thinking she had a heart attack. Everyone doesn't know. So on the way home, we had to stop and pick up their dog, a miniature Dachshund hound. So that was fun. Yeah, pouring down rain. The dog did not want to go in the rain. So yeah, that was fun. But he's a good dog. So my oldest son just took him outside to go to the bathroom before I sent him to bed.
So last Friday, we were having a pretty heavy rain around here, as we do, because North Georgia is Rainville. And I happened to be working from home that day, and I heard a crash out in the backyard. And I thought, that sounded like a tree falling over. And I went and looked around, and I couldn't see anything. Everything looked fine. There were some neighbors who had been having some construction done. I thought, I wonder if like one of their temporary scaffolds or something fell. I couldn't figure out what it was. And didn't really think more about it until later that afternoon when the neighbors next door came over and said, one of your trees fell over into our backyard and smashed our fence.
Ooh.
Oops. So it's been raining pretty much every day since then. But when we get actually tomorrow and Saturday are supposed to be nice days, I'm probably going to head over there with a chainsaw and start cutting up the tree. And actually, upon further investigation, realized it was not one of our trees. But that doesn't mean I'm not gonna help the guy. But
Right.
it was big. It was a 100-footer. It crashed through a big chunk of. It only tore out like 2 boards right close to the bench, to the trunk, and then took out another section and then another section farther down. Big trees around here in Georgia.
Well, old trees is what I'm betting, and that's the thing. It isn't the wind, it isn't the rain. It's the combination of nonstop rain saturating the ground, and then you don't need as much wind, and it knocks trees over. That's not good. I for the last couple days, it's actually not been raining here, which I like because that means I don't have to mow my grass as quickly. But yeah, today it was the kind of rain where I said to self, I'm not going to go this way home because if a road's going to be flooded, that's one of the first one that's going to be flooded. That's how like ballistic the rain was.
And I just want to have a quick aside to all the people who keep sending emails and talking to me about my very brief explanation of wave theory a couple of shows ago. I was trying to give an armchair lesson in physics while thinking on my feet while doing a podcast. Yes, there were lots of holes in my description. But the basic theory is a wave is a wave, regardless of the medium it travels through. The only thing that really makes a difference is the frequency and the intensity. All right. Everything else I said was just, trying to convey a quick thought. Leave me alone about it already.
Yeah. And like what I'll say is this. I don't feel like it's my job, my task to on the fly argue with anybody on a show, especially when I like you. So this is what my brain said. I know what Mark's saying. If a wave, no matter what, no matter where, on the face of the earth, if he vibrates his vocal cords at such a rate, it will literally cause everything to basically instantaneously go at that speed. And then at that speed, the only thing that can exist is pure energy, which is light. So I'm going with that. So instead of thinking, how can I debunk you? I thought, how could I validate what you were saying? Because that wasn't the point. Like you said, it was just an example of a greater concept. And yes, waves. It's what plants crave.
Everything is either a wave or a particle unless it's both.
And yes, the double slit experiment. Yes. And then when it's a black hole, and when it enters a black hole, it doesn't matter.
So I majored in physics for 3 semesters until Mr. Calculus made me realize that I didn't want to solve differential equations for the rest of my life. I love the physics part of physics. I don't like the math part of physics. So I know just enough to be ignorant.
Yeah. It wasn't the math part I didn't like. It was the fact that to me, calculus was as foreign to math as anything I've ever seen in my life. And then I found out that, he invented it in a year. And the only reason he invented it was to greater explain the motion of the planets. Then I said to myself, I'm never going to understand that. Let's focus on something else and let's go with architecture, or something. Yeah. The first link I want to bring, Mark, it's really only because I do think it's slowly coming to fruition. I'll say it again. Things in this type of verse of technology, politics, marketing, all that, it moves at such a snail's pace that if you stop at any point in time and take like a picture, what you see could be construed as being the end of the world. It's not. Things just happen slower. So we have the US government holding the daughter of the president of Huawei. We have these bans going on. We have all this stuff going on. I think, were one of the first people I heard say it's all just going to blow over. Just let's stop making it a big deal. And then I said something to the effect of, well, I believe, this could be a very dangerous proposition to where if you push these people out of the nest and they are able to sustain, it's going to be damaging and dangerous to all of the American-based economy of tech. And then a day or two later, I see this on Mashable. Google is warning the federal government, saying cutting the American market off from Huawei can cause more of a security risk than the federal government thinks that they're trying to, fix or guard against.
Just in the general long history of governments, anytime somebody says I'm from the government and I'm here to help, it's time to be afraid.
Yeah, and whenever the government steps in, like a few people will benefit greatly and the masses will suffer greatly, is like my firm belief. So now we have Google basically going to bat for Huawei, trying to get them unblacklisted in the name of security, is what they're saying. But then here's the gimmick, Mark. You ready? Today, there was basically like a leak. Now, long story short, everyone knows the Pixel 4 is coming. So there was some leaks like a day ago. And Google decided to do the exact opposite from what someone like Apple would do. And what Google did was they basically came out with more information than ever about, yes, okay, there's a Pixel 4 coming. No duh. Okay. And the all the information on it makes it look like the Pixel 4 is basically just a modified Huawei Mate 20 phone. So maybe Google has a little bit of a vested interest to try to get that blacklist ban lifted before September.
So what's interesting to me about that is that a Huawei phone or a Google phone at that point?
Where do you draw the line? And that's where you get to logistics with the letter of the law. And the bad thing about setting these kinds of things and saying what you can and can't do is you basically guide businesses how to work around them. Like one of the rules is, as long as not more than 25% of a product is coming from that sole company, you can do business with them. So if Huawei is making is hypothetical adding parts to a phone and those parts add up to only 22%, and of course how you divide and slice that percentage up and come up with that 22% is completely optional to you. So you can say Huawei is only 22% of this phone. So me as a company, me as a country, me as an organization, I can still do business with Huawei. So if they do it right, they might be able to just have a rebranded Mate 20. You know, I will say, just a real quick other side tangent thing. Foxconn is saying that they have the ability to completely leave all of China's properties and still produce everything that they need to produce for the rest of the world. You know, that's not good for China.
Foxconn's a great example in that Foxconn makes most of Apple's hardware, but we call it Apple hardware. Foxconn is just the outsourced manufacturer. You know, we've the first Google Nexus, right, was made by HTC, but we called it the Google phone. Google is not a manufacturer, but most of the world isn't a manufacturer. They come up with plans, they send it off to China, and China produces it for them. So it's an interesting question. For example, we don't call an iMac a Foxconn machine, even though Foxconn makes many, perhaps most of the components in it. Apple is not a manufacturing company. They design and they outsource their manufacturing. So it'll be interesting to see the legal playing that goes on here for Huawei in general, not even just with where Google is concerned. All they have to do is just get somebody else to brand their products, and then it's not Huawei anymore.
Right. Or dare I say, what if Huawei would split up and become 4 different companies? Would the what's in place only be against the one company that's named Huawei anymore? I mean, you know, these are all just human labels and human titles and that we put on these kinds of things. And all we're doing is we're just instructing other people in other countries how to get around them. So it's going to be interesting. Is all I know. We still have HTC completely dying, LG completely dying. There's plenty of room for other companies to step up. Xiaomi and Huawei, I think, are the 2 most likely. I will say I wanted to say no. no Kia has actually seen a good bounce back in the last 2 years. I don't know if they're really ready to come back to being one of the major ones, but they're advancing as well. So,
Um,
the only constants change.
My money's on BlackBerry. They'll be the new smartphone of the future. Mark my
Oh,
words.
I don't know. They need to stop drinking long enough when they go on flights.
That's an excellent, because they did most of their manufacturing, but again, they were a design company primarily, and they just stopped designing. I think as BlackBerry went RIM, as BlackBerry went Apple is going. I think in less than 10 years, Apple will be in the scrap heap like BlackBerry because they refuse to innovate.
Gotcha. And I will agree with Ivor on the YouTube chat. Why do we even bother talking about the Pixel? It is about 2% of all the phone sales.
Well, Google's
That's
trying to change that by making a flagship phone at a good price.
Well, and that's why when the leak came out, they just decided, well, let's talk even more about it, just to try to get it in the psyche of people as much as possible. Um, I don't see their devices in the next 3 years even becoming a true contender to any of the major manufacturers, Samsung or anybody else. But I mean, they're fine devices. Hopefully, the Pixel 4 will be more solid than the Pixel 3. That thing people complained about all day long.
It's interesting to me in the hardware world is that there are really two camps. There's the $1,000 phone and the $300 phone. There's almost nobody in between. And I don't know which of those is the fair price. I don't know what it actually costs to make a phone if we paid, if we paid materials cost for real and we paid labor cost for real. The one thing I'm sure of, the $400 phone is not a fair price for all things considered. It is exploitative of people and processes in other countries. I'm okay with that because that's the free market. And if your country, if people in that country choose to be exploited, it doesn't bother me. But I do recognize that it is exploitative. But I'm not sure the $1,000 phone is the right price either. I don't know.
Well, one exploits the people doing the mining, doing the grunt work, and the other exploits the person buying the device.
Yep.
Neither one is more wrong than the other, in my opinion. They're just have different targets.
That's a fair point.
And I'll say this, as if I was a businessman, I would be okay if I had the long goal of taking those people who I'm right now not paying extreme good money to, and then when I become big enough, investing in their areas, investing in their country, investing in their societies, investing in their school systems to help them become better. Because that's the whole thing. All of these devices we have today, the best possible thing about them is it's taking wealth and it's pushing it all over the place. People are coming out of poverty at a record rate, percentage wise and number wise, in the world in the last 5 years. And this is part of it. It's not the complete solution. Could we do better? Yes. Could we be doing worse? Oh, hell yes. So I'm okay with, I'll say this, people getting exploited as long as there's a possibility a percentage of them will come out of poverty and, have a chance, like, Hong Kong. Oh, yeah, Hong Kong.
Things are not going well in Hong Kong today.
Well, no. It depends. Perspective is everything, Mark. You have to also remember this. They have, I believe, hundreds of thousands of people marching in the streets. You're not having thousands of people dead. So, one, to me, to try to look at the bright side of life, because that's what Monty Python taught me, at least you have hundreds of thousands of people who have passion about something and they're celebrating it in a non-destructive, non-threatening, non-violent way so far. Then you have a government who could be, unquestionably violent towards them. and they're not being crazy violent against them. So maybe it's healthy for both sides to test each other just a little bit. Instead, here in America, we just, as long as we got, enough popcorn and Tostitos, we'll just turn on Netflix and chill.
Yeah, Karl Marx said religion is the opiate of the masses. It's really media. Hollywood is the opiate of the masses.
Yeah, there's just one more link I wanted to bring in, and it's only because it's nothing but clickbait chatter, is the way I put it, and it's on Forbes. Forbes has actually put down a good amount of tech content in the last 2 or 3 months, even on like mini computer boards, Raspberry Pi type boards. I'm seeing articles on Forbes, which shocks me. But this one basically says Tencent. If you don't know who Tencent is, they're basically the largest game company in the world by far. No one's even close. They're China. Um, and it says Tencent, Xiaomi, and Oppo testing Huawei's 60% faster Android OS, reports claims. The real reason I'm bringing this up is because what people didn't, no one I've seen mentions, it isn't that they're coming out with their own operating system. It's the fact that ever since they've existed, they've always had their own quote unquote operating system because they've never been allowed to have Google Play services installed on a device that's sold in China. So this is nothing new to them. They've been doing this for years. The only difference is, will they have the infrastructure for a mass rollout? And it looks like they might actually be ready for it.
I only have one comment on this Forbes article. 9 freaking ads on the page. 9 ads on the page.
Well, it is Forbes, so they like money. And I'll say this: a benchmark just tests how good an application performs in a benchmark. So, and here's the thing: if I am running these benchmark tests, I am going to be pretty knowledgeable about Android. And what I'll say to self is self. Okay, now when we're going to test this against, let's say, a Samsung device, what would be the biggest disadvantage in their system versus our system? Now let's benchmark against that to where the actual difference might be 5%, maybe 10% speed difference. But because they were uncommonly biased in what they tested, they're now able to say a 60% faster speed or result. And I'm sure it's just complete hogwash.
I've never put stock in benchmarks, even back in the day when it was for PCs, it was all about the latest speeds. The true test is, do you enjoy using the product? I don't care if the benchmark scores are low, but I enjoy using it. I've had some of the early phones back in the day that passed all the benchmark tests, but were dogs. They were hard to use. They were clunky. The software was ugly, but they were optimized to pass tests. And the phones I use today, like my kids have Moto Gs, my wife has a Moto phone. Those don't score well in the benchmark test. They're mid-range phones at best, but they're simple and they do everything they need to do, and there's no lag. So yeah, I don't care. The real thing is how does it work? How does it feel? Now I understand for a tech journalist, it's hard to write that. So that's where benchmarks came from, because we
Right.
can't really measure objectively the experience. But I mean, I just think it's all nothing.
I agree. It's like it's like giving 1 out of 100 on a game. The number literally means nothing, and it only means something when you compare it versus something else. So when I see a benchmark, I just know, well, that's just how the benchmarking software runs. My oldest son's Moto this week just stopped working. The radio, it will not connect to 4G at all anymore. It will connect to Edge, but it literally drops. Like, be connected for like 20 seconds. I reset the phone, tried a whole bunch of resetting firmware and stuff. Took the SIM card out, put it in my wife's old phone, 4G with no problems. So I'm going to try to play with it and see if I can get it to work right. Do you want to read an email or you want me to do an app?
Well, let's do an app since the show is called Android App Addicts.
Okay. This first app is basically tied to a piece of hardware. And when I first saw this piece of hardware, it's called AMAZFIT. I call it Amazfit. And that's what I'm going with because I don't know. Well, when I first saw it, I thought this was an Amazon piece of hardware. So when I first saw the Amazfit smartwatch kind of thing, I just said no way. Um, but it's actually like I want to say now $65-$75 for the Amazfit um watch. It has literally like a 30 plus day uh battery life. It is not, as crazy nice as a lot of other um smartwatches, but it's literally $79 versus, $300 for like Samsung type watches. And here's like a tie-in app for it. PAI for Amazfit. Health and fitness, 9 reviews, E for everyone, completely free to install, no in-app ads, no in-app purchases, 1.4 average reviews, which is kind of shocking how I can get something that low. Updated June 6, 2019, 90 megs in size, 100 plus installs, current version 0.9.0. You only need 4.4 and up, and because it's health kind of thing, it's going to need a lot of access. Why it needs access to stuff like contacts, I'm not completely comfortable with, but it's asking for contacts access. And I did put a link, and I will have a link in the notes to the $79 smartwatch with all day heart rate, activity tracking, sleep monitoring, GPS. I want to say it's a 30-day battery life. Yeah. 30 days on a single 2.5 hour charge.
This app is not well reviewed. It only has 9 reviews total, and it's only came out in June, but 1.4 reviews. So not super loved.
Well, any time I see reviews that are that low, good or bad, I don't pay any attention to them because it's too easy to just have a group of people go in and, you know, just 5-star everything or just 1-star everything. To me, the app is just new, so I'm gonna keep it on my radar. I was looking at this watch for a while back when it was like $90. If you go on Camel, it drops down sometimes into the 60s. I'm tempted to just for the sleep tracking, even though I'm would be terrified what it says. Um, and to do like the step counting and stuff, I'm tempted to, but I'm not paying $80 just for that. And I'll say this, I don't even need the app to do it, nor do I need it to do the tracking. Supposedly, with a smartwatch, the accuracy um and stability and consistency in the numbers is much more when they compare any smartwatch to basically any phone.
Yeah, I'm in the market soon for a new smartwatch. My trusty Moto 360, the battery is just it's at end of life. It's not lasting very long. It's not taking a charge. It's taking longer to charge it, and it's discharging faster. And I could probably hit this thing with a heat gun or something and try to replace the battery. But I'm going to be in the market soon for a new smartwatch. But what I'm finding is the same problem I found like 5 years ago when I bought this, is that most of the smartwatches are for tech nerds and millennials. They're rubber or plasticky bands. I want something that's a piece of jewelry, and that's
Right.
why I got the Moto 360 when I did. It was the best looking of the smartwatches at the time. I think the Apple Watches just look like garbage. They're just there's no difference between an Apple Watch and a cheap Fitbit. It's just plastic on your wrist. I
Yeah.
want something that looks like a piece of jewelry, that looks good with a tie and a coat. But I don't know who's out there. I've been out of the market for a while. So if any of our listeners have a suggestion, hit me up, mark@elementop.com.
And I will say there are plenty of watches out there that would meet your qualifications, Mark, but they're literally like $500.
Right.
So to me, it's hitting that sweet spot. You know what I mean? Of a fair price, and it doesn't look like a tinker toy. Okay. Next app I want to bring, since I mentioned Netflixing, I thought I'll bring this app. I don't watch anything, and when I say I don't watch anything, even when I watched Cobra Kai, I watched it on a computer, and I literally watch it at 2x. So, the last time I sat down and watched something on the actual television set, I'm pretty sure it was over a year ago now. It was a while ago. I just don't. It's too slow. I can't watch it. But if you want to see what's on Netflix, Hulu, and Prime Video, this is a nice app where you can put in like shows that you like, and it will try to recommend other shows on all of these services that you can watch. It's called Dingo. Swipe through Netflix, Hulu, and Prime Video by Dingo Entertainment. 156 reviews, T for teen. It's completely free to download. No in-app ads, no in-app purchases. 4.6 average reviews, much better than the last app. Updated May 24th on my birthday. 14 megs in size. 5,000 plus installs. Current version 1.1. You only need 4.4 Android and up. Permissions are basically, again, contacts and phone and media. I'm going to guess because they want the ability to share a something you find to a friend. I would say it's a simple app that lets you find, discover content to watch.
Movies and TV shows.
You don't have to search through all Netflix, Hulu, and Amazon Prime. You can basically turn one of them off, or turn two of them off, I guess, even. But I showed this to the wife, and she liked the fact that it didn't include stuff like CBS all access, because she said she will never pay for that service.
This solves a problem that a few years ago we didn't think we could have. And that is, the online world has proliferated so much that it's difficult to find what you're looking for. I sit down with the wife on a quiet Saturday evening, which we get every so often, and we spend 30 minutes scrolling through Netflix to see what we want to watch. There's so much stuff there now. That just wasn't the problem years ago. And when I first signed on for Amazon Prime, the movie selection was laughable. And now there's all kinds of great stuff, plus their original content. So it's actually hard to find. And I kind of miss the days of the TV guide, where, networks said, we're programming it for you. You just choose what you want to watch, or which stream you want to watch, and we'll fill up your stuff. And that channel surfing doesn't exist anymore. I think that the next sort of killer app is going to be that. We'll take all your stuff and we'll create for you a Western channel out of Netflix, Amazon, and Hulu, and we'll create for you a comedies channel. And that's kind of what this does, but it doesn't quite give you the just click and the stream will happen in the background sort of thing. So we're getting there. We're starting to replicate TV. But yeah, I just think it's interesting that not only does this solve a problem, but this is a problem that we ached to have just a handful of years ago.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. It's almost a good problem to have, dare I say. Back in the day, if you weren't a cable subscriber, half of your day was spent figuring out how to pirate something to watch later. Where now it's just, browse, click, stream.
Oh, speaking of, you mentioned Cobra Kai and piracy. I watched Cobra Kai. I actually paid for 1 month of YouTube Plus or Premium, whatever they call it, which I love the ability to do that. $11, 1 month, done. Turn it off. Turn it off the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll still lasted through the month. So I had the month to watch that. And when season 3 comes out, I'll pay another $11 for it. So you had mentioned it a few weeks back, and I said I hadn't seen it yet. I have now watched all of it. It was fine. It was as good as the first season. Not great. It's not a great series, but it's good. It's fine.
Yeah, second season, much more talking and drama until the very end.
Right.
And then it was almost cartoon-esque in the amount of insane fighting that was going on.
Yeah, the Hawk character has just gotten unrealistically unbelievable. He's his story arc is taken him to the point where he's just not believable anymore. He's a cartoon. He's a walking cartoon.
Yeah, but I did laugh when they said that he was like a perennial bedwetter.
Yeah, it happens.
Thank God not to me. But yeah.
So let me read an email. Aaron writes in. He says, regarding your power words discussion last week, the podcast Every Little Thing did a deep dive into power words with their most recent episode. Warning, it is not safe for young children, but it's definitely funny and worth a listen. Plus, you'll get to learn why they're called power words. I called them power words because I was explaining to my kids what they were. I didn't know that anybody else called them power words, but it's good to know. And I may check that out. Every Little Thing.
Yeah, and I would suspect if a podcast is discussing power words, it's not going to be family friendly.
Right. But they'll probably use them to the point where they're no longer powerful.
And well, they have to give a real example of, how a power word can lose its power. To quote John Rambo, nothing is over until I decide it is.
You do know that there's another Rambo
Oh,
movie coming out, right?
I know. It looks so bad.
Like
Oh,
if I were going to write a parody
goodness.
script, that's what it would look like. And it would be called Rambo Last Blood. And it would be geriatric Sylvester Stallone. It is a parody of itself. But I have to watch it.
Oh, I know it's gonna be wrong. I'm gonna watch it too, but I know ahead of time it looks so bad. I mean, here's the thing. With time, with age, I honestly respect Stallone so much because I know most of the things that he's done have literally been passion projects where he literally like went broke developing things just because he believed he needed to develop these projects in the past. It's really hard to not respect a guy and support a guy when he does that kind of passion work. I don't know if Rambo Last Blood is passion work, but I'll sit down and watch it. And then I'm sure what I'm hoping is I'm going to say, well, that wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it's still going to be bad.
This is not passion work. This is Sylvester just make the check out to cash Stallone. That's all this is. He's got to pay for those roids somehow.
I guess. I don't know. You'd think somebody would give them to him for free. I don't know. I got another competitive app. I don't know. I guess I'm going to call these competitive apps. Like the last one, you could browse different video services all at once. This one is called Any Ride, cheapest ride fast. Um, I like the idea of this app, is what I'm going to say. By Any Ride, travel and local category, 46 reviews, E for everyone, completely free to download, no in-app ads, no in-app purchases, 3.7 average reviews, updated June 6, 2019, 19 megs in size, 5,000 plus installs, current version 1.1.4. You only need Android 4.1 and up. Again, permission, I would expect this to have a lot of permissions, and it honestly doesn't. Basically just to GPS and network is all that it's asking for. And what it does is actually quite simple. You basically just load this app up, you click on your screen where you're at, and it will tell you which ride hailing service will be the cheapest for you to use right now. And I just like the idea of that.
Plus, it says it uses coupons automatically, and you don't have to. It's not a. I lost my train of thought. Some of the apps will show you the approximate cost. This apparently scrapes the actual cost. It's cool, and you just click a button, quick ride, and it just calls whoever's closest and whoever's cheapest. That's kind of cool.
I like it. So if you're like out of town, like maybe September 20th through 22nd, maybe you're at like Grand Rapids, Michigan at a conference called TechCon, where I plan to be as well, and you need to ride somewhere, this might be the app that you can use.
And then maybe after that, you could go to the Kansas Linux Fest that our listener 5150 writes in about. It says, "Hey, Dor, I could have knocked me over with a feather, but an acquaintance of mine from Kansas who hits the same fest I do clued me in that there will be a KLF, Kansas Linux Fest.org, this year, August 9 through 11. Campus of Wichita State University. Since the con mainly attracts locals and there's nothing near the campus, getting a block of rooms has not worked out in the past. Well, were anyone to fly in, I'd suggest finding a spot in Old Town. Old Town was a downtown revitalization product and encompasses convention, hotels, brew pubs, backed by their own breweries, restaurants with craft beers, and a museum of local history / oddities, etc. If anyone is confused what hotels to pick, refer them to my email. The upshot being that I can show everyone a good time after the official activities end. Of course, this is all completely self-serving. I just want to hang out with my boss friends and show them my state. Not that I expect Podnutzers to come just because you were thinking about it once before. I can shuttle people around, though the hearse only has one passenger seat. Give me notice. I can get my dad's Imperial going and be a right taxi. So, hey, if Podnutz shows could mention KLF in upcoming weeks and again before August, I'd appreciate it.
If trust me, 50, if it was closer, I would have already gone and I would go again, but it's not that close to me. That's my excuse. Can't prove me wrong. But I definitely thank 50 for trying to get the word out. And I will say, smaller Linux Fest like that, I have a much better time. Less people around, a little bit less stressful, I'll say, for me personally. But also, it gives me the opportunity to actually meet every person, shake their hand, and sit down and chat with them. So that is a conference I would like to go to. It ain't happening this year, but maybe next year.
Yeah, there was a time when I used to be considered somewhat famous around those realms. I used to say extremely famous to a very small subset of people, but I'm now not even a Linux guy. I have a couple of machines still in my house. I have a laptop here that I use, but yeah, just not even a Linux guy anymore. Kind of sad, really.
Well, I tell you, Mark, the conferences I've been to, when we do like independent surveys, almost a quarter of the people who are there don't run Linux. They're there for the atmosphere. They're there for the events. They're there because 99% of the software that people are talking about, you can run on any operating system. And then, of course, there are people there for the free food and beer.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Used to be a president of a statewide open source advocacy group, and now I don't even use it. I feel like such a failure.
Well, you could be worse. You could work for Facebook.
I could. And if they paid me enough, I probably would.
Yeah, me too. That's the sad truth. Of course, I wouldn't admit it to anybody, but yeah.
All right, what's our next app, my friend?
This app, I will say, it's a different kind of app, and it comes with a reason to use it. Okay. You can, on any device, basically load Google Drive and say, okay, sync this device with my Google Drive, and then you're done. But there's a total use case that the normal Google Drive does not take into account, nor does the Google Suites or Google Apps or any of those other services fit the solution. And here is the idea. Hypothetically, you're a business, you're a organization, you're a church, you're a group, whatever, and you have a bunch of devices, let's say 20 devices, and you need them all to constantly have a certain number of folders synced, all with the same Google Drive account, but all of them in their own unique folders. You could have, for instance, tablet 1, tablet 2, tablet 3, and on your Google Drive, all these folders called tablet 1, tablet 2, tablet 3. Using this app, Autosync for Google Drive, it can keep multiple devices synced with a single Google Drive account with only very specific folders on each of those devices. I mean, more than a couple business people, after I was shown this and I showed them this app, they all basically said they could definitely find a use case for this app just to do basically like live backups off of tablets, off of Chromebooks, and off of phones. There are ads in the app. Again, AutoSync for Google Drive by Meta control, CTRL, productivity app, 23,000 installs, apps, and in-app purchase. The in-app purchase, I believe, was only like $1.50. And then when you pay that in-app purchase, there are no ads. And basically you just load the app, connect your Google account, and then you pick what folders that you want to sync, and it works. 4.6 average reviews, updated June 6, 2019, 5.0 meg, 1 million plus installs, version, and Android varies with device. It does look like the most expensive in-app purchase is $1.99. I want to say it was a year was $199, which is very fair as far as I'm concerned. Permissions. This thing, of course, is going to need access to storage, um, photos, identity, Wi-Fi connection, because that's how it needs to identify you back to the server. So if you're like a small business or you're in a organization, honestly, and you're using Google Drive, I can see this being very, very useful.
Yeah, I don't know that I have a use for it, but I could certainly see a use for it. I can see how it would be useful, particularly back in the education world. That would have been super cool. But yeah, something to check out. Let me read an email that also contains an app. It's both an email and an app from our good friend Chuck. He says, "Hey guys, I heard about this game from a familiar developer, and it grabbed my attention. The game is called Golf Blitz. Anytime I hear noodle cake, I know it's got to be fun. Give it a try. It's crazy and fun and a little frustrating at times. I just unlocked the Bigfoot character, so it's keeping my interest. The games are quick and there's limited interaction with the other golfers. The other night, after several failed matches, I went back to my usual game of choice, PUBG, and in the first match, won the chicken dinner. Woohoo! Gotta say it like Homer. I don't watch The Simpsons. I'm sorry. I don't know what Homer would say it like, and I don't even know what PUBG is. Keep creating the content we crave. We enjoy it. And thank you, Mark, for reading these and keep plucking the strings. Do you play a stand-up bass too? Thank you, Chuck. Battery 75% on a Pixel 3. I've never played a stand-up bass. I probably could, but I never have. I play drums a little bit, saxophone, bass guitar, electric bass, and now trying to play the 6-string guitar. So I play a few things.
I play on my phone. I play Stardew Valley. I will say this, Mark. I haven't watched Simpsons for I think a decade. It's like, and that's how long the damn show's been on. I watched like the first like 10 seasons or such, and now haven't watched it for like a decade.
It just didn't resonate with me, and that, I'm not putting it down. It just didn't resonate with me. People love it. I liked it when they were shorts on the Tracy Ullman show.
Yeah.
But it just didn't. I also, South Park doesn't do it for me. I haven't watched that. So yeah, I'm just a cultural troglodyte sometimes.
No, it's just, I mean, that's why there's so many channels. That's why there's so much different content, because not everything's for everybody, no matter how popular something is. And no matter how popular Jersey Shore is, I ain't watching it, or was, I ain't watching it. Um,
And
uh,
Google tells me PUBG is Player Unknown's Battlegrounds. Okay.
yeah, and it's a newer style of game. It's the battle royal, drop everybody in on an area, shoot, bang, bang. Let's see who lives.
Oh, so Fortnite.
Basically, yes.
Okay.
Except I believe technically PUBG came first. I believe Fortnite is more fake and non-real cartoon like, where PUBG is more gritty, real like. I can't play either one of them. Partially the eyes, partially I'm tired of shooting people. Okay, what I'll bring next, Mark, is an app. I'll see if I can get the link to a RGB podcast episode. RGB is basically a really hardcore classic game enthusiast and archivist. He literally goes out of his way to try to salvage old gaming stuff and, donate it and work on stuff. And he had a guy behind this app, this website, this ecosystem on his show to discuss. I'm going to guess it's called Library, LBRY Beta by LBRY Inc. Entertainment. 37 reviews, E for everyone, completely free to download, no in-app ads, no in-app purchases. 4.3 average reviews, updated June 4th, 2019. 33 megs in size, 10,000 plus installs. Current version 0.7.3. You need Android 5.0 and up. Permissions is basically your normal device and call, Wi-Fi connection, photo, media, phone, storage. It's almost too easy to describe what this app is, but it's basically a free and open blockchain enabled content sharing social network, I think is how I'll describe it. Basically, you can upload videos to this ecosystem. The videos and content are in a blockchain, and basically you can just upload stuff and share stuff. And I will say they have a very freedom centric view of the content, which means
Porn.
you'll find any and everything, but they do insist that things are tagged correctly, and that there's no like chance of you accidentally stumbling across anything bad or anything you would consider bad, kind of thing. So it's not completely kid friendly is what I'll say, probably. He is looking at putting on ways that you can enable or disable types of content as a parent or a administrator, kind of thing. But this is really early in the makings. And the short version of the description of this, it's trying to be a YouTube competitor. I don't know if they're going to be able to even begin to put a microscopic dent in YouTube, but there it is. They are what they are. If you don't want to use YouTube, if you're sick and tired of YouTube, I will then say, why not go here? Now, if you're a creator, that's the time to get in. You want to get in these kinds of ecosystems earlier versus later. So if you're if you want to create content, you might want to download LBRY at lbry.com and start to plug away.
So I assume this is backed by some sort of digital currency.
The end goal is that you will have a choice, watch ads or pay a very small, like they literally estimate it will be around 1 penny per ad. If you pay, you'll skip the ad and that money will then go back towards the content creators. That's his end goal. But right now there is no ads, there's no nothing. It's just blockchain on the back end. And that's his aspiring goal in the future.
So what that means, blockchain on the back end, means that you are both the consumer of the video and the store of the video, that there is no central storage. I mean, that's my assumption because that's the way these things generally work. They're decentralized, and you as a consumer on the network are also a server on the network.
Yes, but the way that I got it from the interview was, unlike normal blockchain, once you connect, it doesn't download the entire blockchain and make you an equal participant in the network. Instead, you only become an active participant in the things that you choose to view.
Right. So as you download a chunk of it, it's also being uploaded, but you don't download the whole thing. Just like a YouTube, you're not streaming the whole thing to your PC at once. That's the word I was looking for. So yeah, it's a neat idea. These sort of things are in their infancy, but it is likely to be the future. I think the blockchain type technologies are the future because we're already seeing, Dor and I were talking before we started recording, we're already seeing the failure of the centralized system as we know it. The backbones are collapsing. The DNSs are collapsing just because we're just big. The internet has become a really big thing, and companies like even Google is struggling under the weight of its own success right now. And so these decentralized technologies, I think, are going to be the future. I don't know how far out in the future that is, though.
Well, yeah, and I'll say because of the nature of this network, it has the network effect of the more popular a video is, the quicker it's going to stream to you. The less popular a video is, the slower it's going to stream to you. The other also truth is it doesn't do any conditioning of video when you upload it. So if you upload it at 4K, people will only ever be able to see it at 4K. That's good and bad. If you're a educated content creator, you can then take advantage of that and do stuff the right way and do stuff in optimal formats. Where if you don't understand video formats, you're gonna have a hard time getting views on this network. And I will say, Mark, the future is so bright. I gotta wear shades. No, it's going to be really difficult for anybody, I think, to really accurately describe what the ecosystem is going to look like in 3 years, 5 years, 6 years, something. I don't know how long away. But the only way I think I'm going to be able to begin to understand it is nonstop, constant, ongoing communications between massive, wide area networks of computers, bridging smaller networks of edge computers in nonstop information flowing all around. And then it's just a question of you as a user tapping in to the right stream on the right network and picking up the information you want. Um, if that can help bring down the gigantic monolithic companies down and spread information out a little bit more, then I'm all for it.
And they do have clients for Windows, Mac OS, Linux, Android, and iOS. So we're obviously talking about the Android version, but there are all those others as well.
Yes, and there is no web browser interface, which I almost found delightful because that's almost never the case. Typically, everything is like web first, and then they do web apps and stuff later. Fat clients after the fact, it seems like. Okay, I'm going to bring another like productivity style app here, Mark. And I only brought this one because I heard I I read it and I thought to myself, I will never need an app like this in my life. But I've had enough people ask me enough questions that I never imagined I would be asked. I said to self, somebody listening to this show probably really does need this app. So I'll bring it. It's called Split Screen Launcher by Francesco Barso. Productivity E for everyone. No ads, no in-app purchases, completely free to download and install. So new, there's no reviews on it, no ratings on it. Updated June 4th, 2019. 1,000 plus installs. Permissions are your normal. It needs to have access to your hardware, and that's basically it. This is an app that has been republished. It was published. One reason or another, he had to take it down, but he just republished it, a week or so ago. What this app does is it creates custom shortcuts in your launcher to say, whenever I launch this app, I do not want this app to be full screen. Right now, a lot of phones have the ability to run apps in split screen mode, but you have to first launch them and then change the view to be split screen. This basically does the opposite. It basically, you click a button and it launches apps in split screen mode. If you have a gigantic screen, I can see this being useful. If you have a normal phone screen, I'm not sure I would consider this to be useful.
So where this could be useful is if you want to watch a YouTube video while checking your email, because YouTube will, go away if you unless you have the red premium whatever as soon as you switch to a different app. So if you had YouTube running and had your email client on the bottom, that could be handy.
Absolutely. I want to bring a game, Mark. I don't bring too many. I try not to bring too many games because to me, games are the lowest common denominator, low hanging fruit, the easy thing to bring. But I'm not going to lie. This one, not only did the name catch me, but the style caught me and the graphics caught me. It's called Twaddle Paddle Free. And there's a paid version, okay? That doesn't have ads in it, but this is the free version by Julian Bertozzi. Our arcade 9 reviews, E for everyone, completely free to download, no in-app purchases, does contain ads. The free version, this was the free version where it was like $1.49, $1.50, something like that. No reviews because it's that new. Updated June 13th, 2019, 14 megs in size, 100 plus installs. Current version 1.021 requires 7.0 Android and up. We don't hear that too often. This needs a newer version of Android. Basically needs no access to your phone except for network access and prevent your device from sleeping. This, oh man, I'm going to try to describe. This is almost like a psychedelic.
I've played this game before, Tor. I
Yeah.
absolutely played this game before when I was 17 years old, and I was playing Breakout on the Atari 2600 while dropping acid. This is the game.
That's a very good way to describe it because there is no describing this game except you have to be there, man.
Yeah, so I took a hit. I smoked a bong. I played this. I played Breakout for a while, and this is what I remember.
Yeah, this game just looks absolutely crazy, and it's a combination of games. If you watch the whole video, it doesn't only have Breakout type games, game abilities in it, but there is a little bit more of like dodging and playing almost like a Space Invader Galaga kind of thing happening. I'm guessing they're like bonus stages or something. But this is I'm telling, yeah, and Mark, yes. If you've ever done a hallucinogenic in your life, do not download this game. That's what I will say. Do not download this game because you might, send me a nasty email about how this game affected you.
I think this actually isn't a game. It is a spy programming tool that uses flash imagery to unlock certain latent abilities. So this is the TV series Chuck. This is the Intersect. So if you play it, you may find yourself suddenly a ninja
And sent into a different country to.
with a hot blonde.
Yeah, well, okay, let's download the game. Let's go. I'm gonna bring this one more game really quick, Mark. This one I found one of those pretty games, simple games, and a game that you don't have to play like an hour at a whack. It's called a Apollo, a Dream Odyssey by Skylab Entertainment, Adventure, Creativity. 7 reviews, E for everyone, $1.99 to buy, no in-app purchases, no in-app ads. 5.0 reviews. Again, there's only 7 reviews and it has a perfect 5. You don't want to really put too much faith in that. Updated June 3rd, 2019, 84 megs in size, 10 plus installs. Current version 1.0.3, 6.0 Android and up. Permissions, just network access. I don't know if there's a free version of this game. I tried to look, but I didn't really find one. This is like a puzzle adventure discovery game that reminds me of a slow paced Mario Galaxies kind of game. I don't know how better to describe it except for, not based in this world kind of thing. Hence it's a dream odyssey, but it's just beautiful, gorgeous, simplistic puzzles, no crazy action, shooters or blood or anything like that. Just to walk around a sphere, a globe, figure out physical puzzles, and advance to the next world.
Yeah, so the visuals remind me of that endless runner ninja jump game that we brought a while back that I devoted many hours of my life to playing. But from the video, it looks like you just essentially your goal is just to walk from one end of the world to another, but things get in your way and you have to tilt around them or climb over them and whatever. Looks very gyroscopic, intensive in terms of the controls. Um, I'm intrigued by it. It's very beautiful.
It's beautiful and it's simple. Yeah, it's basically just physical puzzles where you have to like walk over things and activate sections in the right order sometimes. Sometimes you have to hit a button that opens a door or creates a bridge or destroys something, and all kinds of little things like that. Um it took at least, I want to say, 10 levels, 8 or 10 levels before I started seeing things that reminded me of previous levels. So, it's basic fun is what I'll say. It's the kind of game you don't have to think too much about, but have a good time at.
Yes, it's 30 minutes to an hour game time, depending on how good you are at solving puzzles. So $2 for an hour of fun. That seems fair.
Yeah.
All right, we're over an hour here, so let's go ahead and bring your best. Unload those guns, Door.
Best? I thought I already did that.
Oh, I thought
Okay.
you were saving the best for last.
No,
All
I'm
right,
like Johnny Carson. I put it all out at the
then scrape the
monologue.
bottom of the barrel.
Okay. This one I had to bookmark just because it said it was a combination of Pac-Man and classic Snake. I said it. It's called Gobble Dash by Voodoo Casual. T for Teen, does contain ads. No in-app purchases. Completely free to download. 738 reviews. 4.3 average reviews. Um, Updated June 4th, 2019. 48 megs in size. 100,000 plus installs. Current version 1.0. Requires 4.4 Android and up per missions, Wi-Fi connection, internet connections. Okay. Think of a Pac-Man board to the audio listeners that is not symmetrical. It's different shapes with different lines going through them, covered in dots. And instead of Pac-Man, you're a snake. But your goal is to eat all of the dots on the board without hitting yourself. Because in Snake, you couldn't hit your own tail, kind of thing. So that's the goal of the game. You have to figure out how to traverse the entire screen and not hit yourself. And as you eat pellets, of course, your tail grows. So it definitely increases in complexity fairly quickly, is what I'll say.
So some of the things are bridges, some of them are underpasses, so you can go under and over yourself in places. But yeah, it looks interesting. My daughter is into that game. What is Slither.io?
Yeah.
It's the modern version of Snake. I think I may introduce her to this. It'll be a new addiction for her. It's summertime. They need something to pass the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Snake IO, one of the biggest draws seems like with the kids is the fact that it's multiplayer. Um, this doesn't have any multiplayer, but it still might be fun. Um, and I don't bring really crap apps, but I will bring an app that I will complain about just because um I don't like it. It turns out not everybody in Canada is nice, including, not limited to, Adobe. I didn't know they were even a Canadian company until recently. Adobe Premiere Rush video editor by Adobe. Video players and editors. 410 reviews. E for everyone. Does have in-app purchases. Oh yeah, it does. $9.99 a month, where you can't use it. 3.5 average reviews. Updated June 13th, 2019. 248 megs in size because Adobe can't write something clean and neat and small. 50,000 plus installs. Current version 1.1.3.3090. E for everyone again. $9.99 per month to use, accessing your phone, your mic, your camera. Essentially, this is a glorified video logging, vlogging, selfie cam application for you to help simplify your personal video logging, video creation, personal vlogging, because it's too difficult to do on a computer, apparently.
Of course, if you have the Creative Cloud Suite or the Premiere Pro, you get Rush free. So if you spend, whatever that is, $30 a month, you don't have to spend the other $9 a month.
Right.
So it only runs on phones running Android 9.0 or later, and currently supports the Galaxy S10 and 10 Plus, the S9, the Note, the Google Pixel 3, and the OnePlus 6 and 6T. That's it.
And it's 240 megs in size. I have definitely installed operating systems that are less than that.
High Hiker says, I really don't get why you have to pay a subscription to an unfinished application. Don't give me that. We'll upgrade soon. Complete the app first, then with all the features, and then I will be happy to give you my money. Remove that export trial limit so we can get better feedback with every feature. I'm sorry, every future update. I misread that. So yeah, that's how I feel about Adobe in general. Adobe has been using people as their beta testers forever. But if you're a serious YouTube guy, I could see how this could be valuable. I'm just not.
I agree. And I could honestly see the United States federal government arresting the daughter of the president of Adobe for unfair trade practices. Just saying,
It's a thing that could happen.
Yeah, I could get behind that one.
All right. I think that's good. Let me read through the applications. So we have Pi for Amazfit by Huami Information Technology Company Limited. Dingo, swipe through Netflix, Hulu, and Prime Video by Dingo Entertainment. AnyRide, cheapest ride fast by AnyRide. Autosync for Google Drive by Meta Control Productivity. Library Beta, LBRY Beta by LBRY Inc. Split Screen Launcher Unreleased by Francisco Barroso. Twaddle Paddle by Julian Bertozzi. Apollo, A Dream Odyssey by Skylab Entertainment. Gobble Dash by Voodoo. And Adobe Rush Premiere Video Editor by the scumbags at Adobe. So for an app, for a night that was kind of light on apps, we were kind of heavy on apps.
Well, you'll have that. It was one of those because this will be, I think, the third week in a row, Mark.
Yeah,
it's like we're setting records.
We did have at least one person throw their hat into the ring for becoming the third podcast host. We'll just say that your screen tests and auditions are coming. We have to go through through our agents and have our people call your people.
And we have to make sure that our federal government won't blacklist you.
Yeah, we'll send Harvey Weinstein will be giving you a call.
Oh man, because I believe everyone who I've heard from, none of them live in the U.S., which I'm okay with.
Yeah, you just got to be willing to record late at night or early in the morning, depending on where you are.
Yep.
All right, that's all I got to say. Other than this guy here, the dude in the black hat with the green Podnutz logo, he needs your money. And the way you can do that is go to podnuts.com, patreon.com/Android App Addicts, and kick in some money. So the pledge you make to him is a monthly pledge, not a per show pledge. And he uses that money to pay for server hosting, for buying new hardware, and, for just general stuff. His kids got to eat. Did you know that? Did you know Door's kids have to eat every day?
I don't
tried going without feeding them. It didn't work. Every day.
I don't buy them food. Once in a while, I do buy my wife a steak just to say thank you for letting me come downstairs and, as she puts it, hang with the nerds
That's not wrong.
I never said I know better than to say she's wrong.
So patreon.com/Android App Addicts. Stand up and be counted among your brethren. How many subscribers do we have over there? Do you have that number at your fingertips?
How many subscribers to Patreon?
Yeah.
Last count, I want to say it was over 80.
Okay. So we have an average listenership of about 5,000. So some of you guys need to step up. That's all I have to say about that. The numbers aren't good. You know, they say you can count on support from about 1%. You know,
Well,
I guess we're there.
Well, and I'll say, people need to stop believing people who say how easy it is to do things when neither of us come from a place of greater celebrity status. If Mark was a successful athlete, hypothetically, or I was a successful journalist before doing this podcast, we would already have ways of bringing other people in that would raise that percentage up. That's why a lot of podcasts who do get support have, literally earning, some of them $10,000+ a month. It's because they're coming from a place of greater fame into the podcasting realm. People who start in the podcasting realm, if you can get more than 1% support, you are doing something magical, is what I'll say. And that's why I laugh when I see somebody post, they posted their second episode and they try to say that they have more than 300 downloads. No, you don't. You don't have any idea of how to even count the downloads. You're lucky if you're getting 30 downloads, not 300. And then I asked him how many emails he got. He said none. I said, well, then you definitely have less than 100 listeners. I can tell you that.
Yep. There you go.
But, what do I know?
So, as I like to say, pay for what you like. If you like the show, pay for it. That's really all there is to it. I'm not asking. I'm not being mean. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just saying, if you like what we do, support us. I mean, Dora and I are both fortunate enough to be relatively well compensated professionals in our day jobs. But you got to understand that makes this a side job at best. It's a spare time gig. And, it also, in case you didn't know, it costs money to do this. So if you like it, support us. It makes it easier for us.
Right. And I'll say this, I make the active choice to not sell you, the listener, to somebody else. We all have to we all have to come to a understanding. When you use Facebook, the understanding is they're going to sell every single bit of information every 3 seconds of your eyeballs to somebody else. That's the agreement you make. When you download a Podnutz podcast, when I'm the host of it, the agreement is I'm not going to sell your information to anybody. And it's basically, I'm here to make friends. I'm here to support those who support me and, support everybody else.
There you go. So thanks for hanging out with us. Dor, as always, thanks for having me along on your magic carpet ride. And we see you, I guess, next week. If all goes well, we'll be back next week. But otherwise, that's it for this episode of the Android App Addicts podcast. Let's see if I can come up with an intro. Oh. So the Amazfit is the MeFit people. Same people.
MII?
Yeah, the MI.
You mean like the
the Mi Band.
The band?
Yeah.
I didn't know they were the same people. I seriously didn't know that, Mark.
I didn't either. I clicked over there and it had things from the same company.
Well, then I definitely feel better about it then. So now, for some reason, nobody is basically in the IRC and everybody is in the YouTube chat.
Interesting.
I know. And Ivor's screaming, "What are the show titles?"
And I can't see the YouTube chat. How do I got to go to your YouTube channel?
Yeah, give me a second here. Because what I can do is, I believe I can just come here and say this. If I put that in there, put it in the IRC chat, you basically just click that and click. Oh, yeah, the second link there. It's a YouTube link.
Okay, so there's the chat over there. All right.
Yeah, for some reason, everybody's there. In the
Yeah,
chat.
there's a whole bunch of conversation going on over there.
I know. I know. And I'm sitting here in the me and Rhino and you in the IRC. A more mature Pebble watch is how the Rhino classifies the Amazfit, which I think that's a fair description.
They don't call him the tightwad tech for nothing. What was that about, Ivor? I mean, you're right, but what was I talking about when you said that?
Search for a new watch. And I understand. Yeah, it's one of those things. I do not want to ever spend, $300+ on a watch unless that thing is literally like, you know, handcrafted gold, you know, gems with like a lifetime warranty on it or something. Yeah, see, everybody I know with a Samsung watch all seem to like it. Every single one of them. And then when I ask them, what does it do? It sounds like the same thing that every other watch does. So I don't
Yeah.
understand it. Yeah, I'll stop recording now. But dang. Mute that.
9 freaking heads. I like that one.
Yeah. Forbes had articles for the Pinebook Pro. I'm like, what? I don't know. Confusing why they would even care about it. But I do believe now they've basically like outsourced all of their content creation to basically just farms, and they all just believe it doesn't matter what they post, they just have to post everything they possibly can. Export. No, save project as. I really want a decentralized internet to be popular.
Create a channel to join the chat. I have to create a channel?
Somebody else saw that. So you are logged in.
No, I'm not.
Well, that's why you're
Yeah,
not logged in.
I have a YouTube login.
This is 5:41.
Okay, let's see. Got to come up with an intro.
Uh, Take it easy, Rob. I'm sure the Fossil Sport smartwatch is overpriced just because it has the word Fossil on it.
Yeah. And I don't want the sport ones. They're all neon and plasticky.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
Pixel 4, Amazfit, competitive apps is what I keep classifying that Dingo and Any Ride as.
Yeah. All right, here we go. Forbes has all the ads. Mark relives an acid trip, and Adobe still sucks. This week on Android App Addicts.
I think you got that in there. Okay. Okay, I gotta do this. I gotta do this before I mess this up.
I don't know why, but I like three things. It seems to
Trust
have a
me,
hook.
look at all the show titles I've done in the past, Mark. They all have three things. This, and that. This, comma, this, and that. Every time. I don't know why, but that's what I always do. And it's like I can't stop making every show three nouns long. Yeah. Now, what I still haven't had a chance to try out. One listener did tell me in my Nextcloud instance, there is a way I can enable real time document and spreadsheet collaboration.
Cool.
Which I just haven't had time to even look at.
Time to clear off the old Zoom. It's only showing 30 minutes of recording time left.
Okay, let me go to the apps.
We're not streaming anymore, right?
Oh yeah, we are.
Okay.
I can.
Because I thought you were ending that.
No, I was looking up something real quick. Okay.
I mean, I'm not telling you to cancel. I just didn't know. I'm not about to say anything I didn't want anybody to hear.
Okay, I'm looking at the apps now. Contacts, talk, accessibility, activity, calendar, collaborative tags. I don't think that's it. Comments, deleted files, federation. Federation in this thing's awesome, supposedly. File sharing, first run wizard, gallery, JavaScript, log reader, monitoring, news, announcement, notes. Notes is not what I would think of. PDF viewer, password generation, quota warning, share by mail support, text editor, uh, open, save, and edit text files. No, I don't think of text files. Text editing is collaboration, like office style collaboration.
See, Ivor, I don't think I've ever needed to collaborate in real time on an Excel spreadsheet either, but on docs, absolutely. Real time doc editing is a
Yeah.
killer app.
I've got to stop yawning. Do you know? No, I know of no Android Wear watches because to me they all suck. I hate. I've owned 3 Android Wear watches and they all were just worthless, useless. Like
Yeah.
couldn't even go 24 hours.
Talking to Ivor again. Like on Geek Rant, the whole show is done from a Google Doc, and we type things as we go. We highlight things. When I want to talk about something, I highlight it, and the guys see what I'm doing there. That whole thing is a collaborative doc that we work from. And again, when I was in the education world, it was huge. You'd have kids, 20 kids in a room working on the same document. It was an amazing thing to see. That's a killer app.
Yeah, on mini PC show. We do interactive spreadsheets where I say to them, line 44 in the notes.
Yeah, you
And
should
then
share those if you don't, because as a listener, I'd like to see that. Maybe put it for Patreon folks.
they're just the notes of the show.
You know, but I'd like to see the document with the links and the stuff.
Oh, gotcha. That's a lot. I'd say that. That's the only bad thing. Well, I adhere to the Johnny Carson classification of content, which is if I'm doing a hour and a half show, I need to have 2.5 hours worth of content. And then every show there's going to be stuff that gets just, thrown off the side of the bus while it's in motion. So every show we could bring, 10 links, and in all there might be 30 links.
So
So
I'm going to assume that we're not doing a show on July 4th.
I can't imagine we would.
And
Yeah.
July 11th, the next Sunday, is my wife's birthday, so I'll have to miss that one because I like being married.
Well, yeah, some of us do. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Most days, I really like being married. I mean,
There's benefits. Yeah.
she washes my underwear,
There's certain drawbacks too. Nothing's perfect.
we were, I don't even remember the context of it, but we were sitting around and somehow the subject came up and somebody said, the most annoying thing about, and my wife's name, I said, the most annoying thing about my wife is who she married.
Yeah, I said to my wife, I said, you really are good, but you really do have one critical flaw. That got her attention.
Yeah, your taste in men.
I said, your judgment is so bad. And of course, she didn't get it as a joke, and she was really mad for a while.
Oh, Hilton Honors, leave me alone. I signed up to get something that day. Stop emailing me.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. Whenever possible, give everybody temp email addresses or fake email addresses. Yeah. The stupid Apple thing. This is why I can't stand journalist marks. They won't shut up and try to say how Apple is protecting your privacy by forcing app developers to have a option to use like some fictitious Apple ID when they ask for identification from the end user, and it's protecting the end user's privacy. And I'm like, no, they're not protecting anything. In fact, they're just making it more valuable for themselves. And they're just ensuring that they hold all the power in the transaction, and the end user has basically no power in the transaction. Because then it makes it even more difficult to move off of the Apple ecosystem.
Yeah, lock in is the king.
Oh, and yeah, Microsoft taught everybody back in 95 days. If you don't have lock in, you might as well not exist.
All right, my friend, it is time for me to go.
All right, man, I'm just documenting.
See you, chat room.
Take it easy.
Bye.
I gotta finish documenting these apps, and I'm shocked how bad my eyes are. Autosync for Google Drive. And I am also really shocked how sometimes this beard is so scratchy, itchy, it drives me absolutely nuts. Call of Blitz. I got the impression that was actually like a multiplayer game too, which kind of shocked me. Because most Android games seem like they do not want to be multiplayer. Or if they do, they're like fake multiplayer. Where they have you playing against like ghost ghost accounts from previous people playing and no actual live interactions. I like that library app, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Let's get the link to that interview too. That was RGB and it was LBRY. Da, 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 da. RGB podcast. There you go. Retro RGB. Dang it. I said the name wrong. I don't want weekly roundup. Why do I have only weekly roundup? Uh, huh. Okay. There you go. Okay. So let's click there. There you go. That's what we wanted. Okay. So we're just going to manually copy this over. I like Retro RGB. Really nice guy. I'll put the link there. Really nice guy. Seems like a really nice guy. Yeah, I still can't find anyone, Charles, to tell me anything that any home appliance can do that my phone can't do. Bigger screen is the only thing, and I can get much bigger screen without paying, the hundred plus dollars of the Google Home Hub. I just can't see justifying that expenditure. Uh, okay, let me do this. Control C. I gotta copy this one right. This was LBRY. Yeah, there you go. Did that right. I can't believe I did that right. Okay. Split screen launcher. I love the idea of that app, but even on a tablet, I don't know if I would ever need that app. 'Cause I don't really run anything in split screen. I have in the past, just very few things. Twaddle paddle free. That game literally like crazy looking. I should have started uploading the video. I forgot. Copy image address. I'm almost done doing the notes. I might as well finish doing them. And then I gotta run to the bathroom. I did actually play some Stardew Valley this week. I almost never get time to play it. 199. Like twice my wife was okay driving home from work. So I did my best to talk while I was playing the game. Because if I just sit there and play the game, it's like I'm ignoring her, and that's not cool. I don't want her to ignore me, so I shouldn't expect her to be okay with me ignoring her. Last app. 16 links in the show. I laugh so hard at other Android podcasts. They're so unbelievably bad. Okay, so bang, bang, delete. Okay, I'll be right back, guys. Have your YouTube numbers been affected by the latest crackdown? Hell no. My numbers will never be affected by the crackdown because I opt out of all monetization. So I'm always at the bottom of the barrel. YouTube ranks me as the lowest possible content that's ever been uploaded to their servers because I won't be a part of their money making scheme. Right at the bottom. I need new glasses. I need new glasses. Bad. I just walk around. They look bad. Okay. I gotta start uploading this video before I forget again. Okay. Where's Mark's audio? Helps if I would have actually ran the app. So Nextcloud app. Run. Home. Nextcloud AAA. Syncing. And sunk. I will say Nextcloud runs really good. Paste. Okay. Now we need to start to upload this video. So close, home, video, copy, find the one from 1027, paste, 541, come back up to here, go to studio.youtube.com. And I actually heard more than a couple content creators say how the new YouTube studio actually ain't that bad. Why is the phone ringing this time of night? Oh, that can't be good, can it? Okay, let's go back to the studio. We're going to come to the videos. We're going to come to this video right now. Yeah, well, and that's the thing. I go with the non-monetization model. So if somebody does flag my content, I don't freak out. You know, there's like nothing I can do if they do that. I just, shrug my shoulders. Okay, yeah. Um, so now every time I get a content strike, I vehemently object to it. I don't slow down. I basically figuratively scream right in YouTube's face, and I vehemently like oppose every single uh copyright claim against any of my videos ever. And that's still the only reason I post to YouTube is because it's a double recording. So if my house burns down, I still have copies of all the audio. It's the only reason I post anything to YouTube. And of course, the people who like YouTube out there really get upset at me when I say, if anything else existed. That might be the wipe. Hold on. All right, sorry about that, guys. My father-in-law is going to stop by, pick up the dog, so I got to be ready to help him carry stuff out. So I'm going to disconnect from here. Thanks for coming out, guys.